So, funnily enough, this news came out yesterday, about 18 hours ago. It came out that officially Monika Czinano has retired from the sport of basketball. Surprisingly enough, I made a video talking about how maybe she will retire, maybe she won't. And ironically enough, I did title the video, "She Has Retired," even though you better believe I was speculating. I was 100% speculating this video, and 3 hours later, Monika Czinano officially has retired from the sport of basketball. It says here, "I feel very fulfilled with basketball. I'm kind of ready to take the next step. I want to be a doctor, so that's where my life has pivoted to." So, I mean, fair play to her. Fair play to her. Like, obviously, studying to be a doctor is not easy. I think, another 4 years to go? And then you're going in as a junior doctor. So, it is a very interesting one anyway. And, I mean, fair play. Just like her and Gabby Marshall, like, going, I think, is Gabby Marshall going to, I don't know what she's doing, but, like, again, going back to school. Because, let's be real, in women's basketball, unless you are a Caitlin Clark, it's hard to really make it. Obviously, Kate Martin wanted to be a coach. The longer you play in the W, the more money you're going to get as a coach. So if you want to stay in basketball, yeah, going down that route is better. But if you don't want to stay in basketball long term, especially in the women's side, it's probably best to get out of basketball right away. Like, that's one of those things where it's very common with pro players, especially in men's, even at lower level. And if you guys are interested, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 40k by Christmas. If we could do that, that would be insane. But anyway, yeah. Like, as somebody that does coach in like a lower level pro league on the men's side, like, a lot of the players that we have to recruit are guys that are kind of rookies looking to kind of make it at the start of pro ball. A lot of D2 guys, a lot of like really high level D3 guys, some lower D1 guys. And a lot of them just say, they're like, you know what, I don't really have an interest in playing pro basketball. It's like, well, I just graduated with a degree in accounting. I would rather just be an accountant. Or guys that were like graduating with engineering degrees are like, you know what, I'd rather be an engineer. And obviously there's a story of the like top players doing like maybe not the greatest degrees in the world and some stuff like that. But I mean, an awful lot of the players do use the college thing. A lot of players that don't just see it as I'm going to go to college, then go pro. They're going to use, the college degree to get the college degree that they want, like. And it's good to see that Iowa team all doing well. Whether it be on the court, like Kate Martin, who I think outperformed anyone's expectations in the WNBA. I'm fully convinced most people thought Kate Martin had zero chance of making it out of the training camp roster. And I'm not going to lie, like, I'm not going to say I thought she had zero chance, but if you had asked me what the chances were of that, I would have said quite low. And then you've got Monika Czinano, who, let's be real, she's playing in the Turkish league, or in the Hungarian league. There's not that much money in it. In the Hungarian league, you're making, obviously, a hell of a lot more money if you're a doctor. Obviously, going to med school, I don't know if you can get paid for the placements and stuff in the States. I don't know how exactly that works, but like, you're still setting yourself up for, in 10 years time, 20 years time, making the big bucks, making a serious amount of money. So you're setting yourself up for life. Whereas if you are playing, let's be real, like, she was in Hungary. She's someone that's probably not going to be making six figures playing basketball. Like, everyone hears about these European contracts with players making more. Like, yeah, if you are Breanna Stewart, you might make more. If you are Jonquel Jones, you might make more. Like, if you are a third round draft pick, I think there are former WNBA players that came over to play pro in Ireland. Like, we've seen, like, there was a player that was in the same position as Czinano, playing in the second tier, like I'm not sure if she was third round pick, but she was playing second tier here for Talca Rovers, like, and she was on the Phoenix Mercury training camp roster 5 or 6 years ago. So it's like, pro basketball isn't all it's set out to be unless you're at the tippity top. Like, in men's, if you're in one of the high leagues, cool, yeah, it is all it's set out to be. But in the women's, unless you are a big player on a EuroLeague team or a WNBA team that can make a ton of money going over to somewhere like China or some countries in Europe, it's really, really difficult to make money in it. Whereas, obviously, what she's doing is setting herself up long term. It was the same with Gabby Marshall. Like, again, Gabby Marshall was a pro. Gabby Marshall 100% could have played pro ball in a lot of countries in the world. But the difference is that if you go and get a good degree, that's what they were saying about Lexi Hull. They were like, Lexi Hull could use her degree to make $200K a year working like a normal job. And it's like, yeah, that's just a reality of the situation where playing a high level, playing pro basketball is not, again, all it's cut out to be, especially as you get older. Like Czinano's 24 right now. She's given it a go. She tried to make the W. She played overseas for a year. She had the 4 years or 5 years in Iowa. So she's had 7 years of effectively playing really high level ball outside of high school. And it's like, the longer, especially if you're not going to make enough money to retire out of basketball, the longer you continue to chase the dream of playing pro ball, the longer it's going to take you to kind of work your way up. Like, you could be a 28-year-old, or you could, if you play 5 or 6 years of pro out of college, you're like a 29-year-old who's going into the same job as you would straight out of college. So you're starting 5, 6 years behind. In the grand scheme of things, obviously it's not the end of the world. Life is long. You're going to be working for 40 years. So I don't begrudge anyone who does make the choice to play pro, but also anyone who makes the choice to not play pro and I get their life sorted. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a wrong choice either. So obviously, Czinano announced on TikTok she had retired. Says here, don't get this. She, Caitlin, Marshall, and the rest. She was dominant from what I saw, and it's like she was really. That's the thing, is like she was a really good college player, and she's a really good pro player. The problem is, again, outside of and people are like, oh, other leagues, like outside Turkey, China, London Lions went 7-7-7 before they went bankrupt. And then maybe a couple of teams in Spain, a few teams in France. Like, outside of the top EuroLeague teams. And even WNBA teams don't pay the greatest. But you will get the endorsements. If you're not in the WNBA, or you're not playing for one of the top teams, and to be an American, because of every one of these leagues has import rules, which means you can only have a certain amount of non-European Union players on your team. As an American, if you're not a WNBA player, you're not going to be making the big bucks overseas. And if you're not at that level, you're just kind of scraping by for a few years, and it's really not all it's cut out to be. So people wondering why, it's like, she could have easily had a 10-year pro career overseas. Could have very easily done it. Heck, like, if she wanted to go and do medicine, there are definitely, if she wanted to keep playing pro ball, she could have probably done both if she went to a country like Ireland, where, funnily enough, a lot of teams are linked with colleges, so they could have gotten her into med school for free, realistically. And she could have played pro ball for however long it would have taken. But obviously, you don't always want to leave America. But yeah, so that is it, done. The law firm officially will never play together, as one half of the law firm has given up the sport. See you guys.